But this was like a good 30 minutes of him hammering, so you have to hold on real tight. And I woke up this morning like, I got muscles there. They hurt.
That's what you get for using them.
Terrible.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Indie Film Cafe. I'm your old pal, the MooCow, a.k.a. Paul A. Presenza, and I am joined by...
your co-host, Jonathan A. Moody.
Yay! And today, we are both joined by...
Just Jenn.
Yay! Our original co-host.
I feel like I need a middle initial, and both of y'all do that.
I know. And welcome to the Season 4 final episode. And as usual, we are going out with a bang.
Oh, boy. I don't know what that means.
This is a special movie.
Uh-huh.
And the movie is from your buddy, David "The Rock" Nelson.
What? We're gonna do a rock?
We're gonna do a rock movie, and it is called Miss Werewolf.
Oh my god. I've not seen this. Oh
my goodness.
Oh boy.
I'm sure you know David "The Rock" Nelson.
Okay.
No, she doesn't. She wasn't a part of the Transylvania. So, real quick, before we go into to everything else, this year we did our Patreon only stuff, and we watched a movie that Paul had a bunch of stickers for me to pick.
Imagine that.
Yeah, and I picked
Conrad Brooks.
And I was looking through his Rolodex of stuff, and I said, Transylvania, what is it? Police Monster Squad.
Right.
And so we're watching the movie, and David "The Rock" Nelson comes on into it, and he has this scene where he's basically by himself, jabbering away about whatever.
Steals the movie, basically.
Steals the movie. And Paul was like, who is that guy? You know? And I was like, oh, he's a filmmaker. He does his own films. And Paul's eyes lit up, and he was like, I need to find this. I was like, well, I'm friends with him. If you become friends with him on Facebook, just ask him. He sells his movies himself, like most of these guys do, you know?
And he touts himself as the Ed Wood of the 90s.
And now it's the
Yay.
2000s, so...
Both of you are looking at me expectantly. Yeah, I know what that means.
And he just had a birthday and turned 65. Happy birthday, David "The Rock."
Oh, that's nice that we're doing.
And we are covering Miss Werewolf. So, after we hear a little bit of that mood music, we'll be right back. All right? You ready?
No.
All right, here we go.
I didn't do nothing, man. What? What did I do?
You're part of the group. You're on the shit list.
Don't lump me in with him.
I do like how your laptop lights up.
Thank you. So, we are back after watching Miss Werewolf. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Just Jenn.
Wow.
What are your what are your thoughts on Miss
I
Werewolf?
have no more thoughts anymore.
This movie broke Jenn, everybody.
This movie broke everyone.
I told Paul and I was like, I think Jen's not going to come back anymore after this movie.
I'd rather hear a 3-year-old try and tell a knock-knock joke.
Could you imagine if she showed this to her as like the first movie?
Oh, no. No.
God, there's not enough gin in the world to watch that movie again.
But you said you think this might be the worst
This
film?
is the worst. Period. We can skip all the talking and go straight to the ratings. It's the worst movie I've ever seen.
Wow. Okay.
Ever. I don't think we want to skip the talk because there's a lot I want to say about this
Okay.
crappy movie.
Mr. Moody.
More than this movie has already said about itself.
It was 2 hours and I think like 30 minutes or something. Or, I mean, maybe.
But at least a
2.5.
good chunk of that is him in the beginning, just kind of rambling nonsensical.
No, not a good chunk. There's not a good. There is a bit in the beginning, and there's a bit at the end.
Not
But
about
the
a
majority of that 2 hours and 48 minutes is this shit show. Ah.
I don't even know how to describe this movie or whatever. Even, I mean, we can't do a story thing. You can't talk about the
Well,
story.
there's somebody who is Miss Werewolf, and she runs around and kills people.
Well, she claws at the air.
Claws at the air and then they die. Or she grabs them from the back and then
Gives
they
them a
die.
gentle shoulder massage,
Yeah.
and they die.
And Sergeant David the Rock Nelson doesn't believe in the werewolf.
How do you know that, Paul?
Because we see about 40 or 50 scenes of him saying that.
Exactly.
Extended scenes.
It's just like, it's him eating, what is it?
Peanut
Snacks.
butter and crackers and drinking coffee.
Or what was the other one?
Those weird Polish donut things.
Yeah, the Danish stuff.
Yeah.
And then he gets really excited eating those too.
Oh, he does. He
That's
gets
his
very
favorite thing.
excited.
I think
He's
it's
like,
the same box in every scene, too.
I think it's the same scene in every scene. It's
It
just
could
cut
very well
back
be.
in. But yeah, he's on there, and then he gets a phone call.
Bring, bring,
The phone call.
bring.
David the Rock Nelson going, bring, bring.
Good pasty, man. Yeah. It's on heat now. All right.
Except once.
Except once. There was an actual real phone, whatever, sound.
Oh my god. And then, yeah, so that's one scene that's played over 20 times. While he's on the phone, he's talking to himself, or whatever.
Of course.
And he's the guy himself on the other end is going, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Or,
I know.
I know.
Brain Robbers from Outer Space by Garland Hewlett. David the Rock Nelson's in it. The guy that makes monster movies. My brother, he's in it. It's coming out. It's got Conrad Brooks in it. Wow. My brother's in it. My twin brother. Wow. Yeah, David the Rock Nelson's in it, man. My twin brother, man. You already told me that. That movie's gonna be great because he's in it. I know.
Or was
Yeah.
cool.
Wow. There is no other movie ever like this, other than other David the Rock Nelson movies. They're all pretty much like this.
Wow. I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
He's
Devilland.
got a style.
Dude, I'm telling you, Devilland is worse than this. Worse than this. Oh, yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah. That intro where he goes on and on, there's 45 minutes of that.
But is the movie itself longer?
Yes. The movie
So it's
itself
like
is
3
longer.
hours long,
Something like that.
Oh my
And there's a lot of and that's the sound of the Devilland attacking
Well,
the
thank
little
you for-
the little plastic toy that you see in the film every now and again.
Thank you for not making us watch that one.
No,
but-
I don't have that much evil in my blood.
Yeah. You got a good amount.
You could have saved Conrad Brooks versus the werewolf or whatever.
Well, that's just it. I mean, most of his movies are like an hour or less, so he doesn't have a whole lot of full-length films other than this one and
was
a
definitely
couple
one.
other ones.
I hesitate to call this a movie.
Well, so when you were watching it, Jen, the first things you were thinking of was it was like a home video, right?
Yes, because obviously it seemed like he followed this lady to the zoo, and
They're on a
that's
date.
it.
The zoo with the pigs and the cows.
Yeah.
Because she at one point says, "My boyfriend's a Marine boxer," whatever. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense now."
So I guess they're a thing.
Or they were.
don't
at that
know.
Point. I don't know if they still are or not. Is she still acting in his films? Now?
I don't think so.
Oh, it was just
Janet Lynn, was that her name?
Janet Lynn. She's in most of his movies, at least.
From the 90s.
Yeah.
And he was proudly the Ed Wood of the 90s. That was his production company.
No.
No, that's what he called himself.
Oh, I know, but Ed Wood was so much better.
I'm saying he called himself the Ed Wood of the 90s. Nobody else did, I don't think. Unless one person pointed to him and he said, "I like it. I will keep it going for eternity."
Doesn't make it true. You can say as much as you want. It's not gonna make it true.
When you look at movies like Plan 9 and Bride of the Monster, even Night of the Ghouls, which we watched and reviewed, so much better
Well,
than this movie.
Those
So much
movies,
shorter.
those movies have beginnings, middles, and ends. This just sort of wobbles off and then just kind of goes on and on and on and on and on.
It's sad. It's like a little kid telling a joke, and then, And then this happened, and then she did this, and then you want to see my picture?
And if you've ever heard Dave the Rock Nelson speak, where he just rambles on and on and on forever, this is a reflection of him. This movie's just like that.
All right. I mean, nobody else can make a David the Rock Nelson movie
Nobody.
other than David the Rock Nelson.
Nobody.
There was.
No one else wants to.
Well, I'm just saying.
Carl
I mean,
J. Sukina came close.
with Alien Beast
Yes,
and
and
other
others,
stuff,
yeah.
other films that he's done. And Carl, I mean, I'm missing Alien Beast after watching this movie.
Wow.
Like, I didn't like Alien Beast. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I did not like that movie.
Sure.
But I liked it better than this movie. I mean, I did not like this movie.
Well, this movie's full of terrifying, realistic violence and gore and shocking scenes of horror.
Come on, baby, don't do that. You're getting ugly and hairy and stuff. Wow.
That was funny, Paul.
I missed those parts. Maybe that was when I
humorous.
was
Well,
losing Facebook.
I think that's part of the problem is that, you know, had this been done with like an ounce of actual talent, there might have been something to it. It's just everything is extremely ineptly done. The editing is beyond description. It's like he doesn't know about movies. I mean, he's seen movies. I know he's watched movies.
Well, he talks about watching movies all the time.
So he has to be conscious of the fact that they don't just throw in random stuff, or they cut scenes, or you don't see them saying cut, or oh, that was a good take, or you know,
perfect.
Just, yeah.
Or my favorite one is them laughing. My favorite bit is the fact that you do not have some random stranger coming up into your scene, break characters, start talking about your films in front of them, and leave it in the movie.
And then leave it in the movie. Right.
That's just like not done.
Right, exactly.
It baffles my mind that this guy sells these things to you, Paul. You buy 6 of them.
It's not just me. It's not just me.
I think you're one of the only ones.
You'd be surprised. You'd be very, very surprised. Carl J. Sukina has a huge amount of people that love him, buy his films.
I don't know if love is the right word, but, you know, they support him.
Yes.
I don't know how much they love. You love these things.
I do.
You love torturing people.
You laughed. Come on. It maybe not the last third, but the first 2/3, you laughed constantly.
I did, because it was so bad.
You laughed.
There was a couple times.
So the main, well, besides all the other stuff, I think the main problem with it is the length. If it had been half to a third of as long as it was, then I would have had a much better feeling about it. It would have been funny. It would have been cheesy. All the stupid little bits of it. I mean, I hated. I mean, even on here, we can redo takes on a podcast, and he didn't. He just corrected himself when he would misspeak.
Which was pretty much all the time.
He was going to the store. Well, you don't need the in there. Do it again. It's all voiceover anyways.
Right.
And like I said, if it had been half, or I would say a third, I think that's what I could have handled.
Well, and that's just it.
It would have been funny.
Conrad Brooks versus the Werewolf is about an hour long, which is about as long as you can really realistically stand for a movie like this.
Movies, yeah.
So that's actually kind of perfect. It's just we tend to do movies that are longer than that on this thing, and then we save something that's an hour or less for short reviews. So we're going to do that on short review Saturday, Sunday, whatever.
Yeah, short film Saturday. But it's
just he decided to want to make a full-length film besides Devilant, and so he padded it out with everything. Whatever he had in the can, whatever he saved.
Let's go through everything. So he starts beginning the movie talking about himself and the stuff that he's doing. Come be my fiend, right?
On Facebook.
On Facebook. Fiend me on Facebook. Blah, 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 blah.
About
I'll
25
be your fiend.
times.
Yeah. So he says this like a million times. Then
Whatever monster things that he's involved in and everything.
And then he'll say something like, I enjoy some Java, and then he'll come back and he'll be talking about his coffee and his crackers and stuff or whatever. Then he'll go into, then he'll continue going right back to talking about being your Facebook friend. And they did this literally for like 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, it goes on and on and on, and then you have these little things that cut in saying, "Oh come on, Dave, stop blabbing and put the movie on, put the stinking movie on."
So you think it's going to go right? That would be the right time for you to go into the movie. No, he continues doing, and then the same sign saying that does it again
6 or 7 times.
Oh my god! It drives me nuts. I'm sorry, this movie gives me anxiety. Because I'm just like, are we gonna get to the movie? Are we gonna get to the movie? I'm like a little dog with a toy. Give me the toy. Give me the toy. You're not giving me the toy.
That's why I figured you would hate this. Not so much because of the length, but just to be able to get to the beginning of the film is such an ordeal.
Yeah.
Half the length of that.
And that's because, like I said, this wasn't put out in a traditional way with chapters and things that you can click onto to get past all that. It's all one big blah,
How did you even get through it? Like most of it.
I did.
I mean, you didn't finish it, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, he did.
He told us he
I
watched it.
know. Well,
He fast forwarded through parts.
I wanted to give you guys hope. I really did.
You said you
You're
fast
an
forwarded through
asshole.
the boxing thing. The boxing thing took like 3 minutes. And it took way less
That was
time.
one of the boxing things. There were a number of boxing things.
I don't remember that much of it.
Oh, well, it all becomes a giant blur after a while.
Yeah. A blur of hairy glove waving in the air.
Grr. I don't know what it is about werewolf movies that seem to bring out the worst in filmmakers, but my God.
Okay, you know why? It's because you can't do it without good money.
Right.
You can't do a real good movie like werewolf movie. We watched Dark Wolf, and that at least had a pretty good costume, on it.
Dark Wolf looks like Orson Welles at this point.
I know. So like, you look at that movie, and it was they literally tried. This movie didn't. He doesn't try. He just makes home movies with his friends and then sells them.
Right.
And stuff, and that's fine. And especially if people like you, Paul, want to go out there and torture people, and that's what they're there for. I mean,
Torture?
You're writing these nice things on Letterboxd, telling people to buy it. Oh, you should see this movie.
You should. Everyone should see this.
God, no. And
You're outnumbered there.
no, we're not putting this on the Stinkometer thing. I'm sorry. It's getting outvoted.
Oh, my goodness. Are
I
you
can't
kidding?
even do that because I can't sit there for another 2 hours or whatever.
Well, we couldn't do it for that, but maybe Conrad Brooks versus the Werewolf, since it's only an hour long. Like I
That's
said,
fine.
that's the perfect length for this kind of a
Right.
film.
I mean, I can't watch this again. Like ever. Like this is.
I just can't do it.
I can hear the anxiety coming out of his voice.
No, I mean,
I expected this from you, Jen.
I'm not doing it again. I mean, she's got the same thing as me. We both were.
I'm not doing anything by this guy again.
I've got 6 other movies,
No, I
though.
don't care. I'm not going to do it. If you try and trick me, I will walk right back out the door. And
What's he
drive
I
saying?
off.
trick you when I do that.
Yes, you would. And on top of that, she would see David the Rock Nelson. She'd be like, nope. Right out.
Don't you want to Facebook fiend him
No.
so that you can
We
get?
both are Facebook fans with him. And look, I like the dude. Like, I think at least he's doing what he loves.
He's a one of a kind. One of a kind.
That's
No
that's
kind
because
that
nobody
is.
else really wants to be that kind. But it's fine. He's he will go around. It's so funny. Like in some of the scenes, at one point he was like, "Yeah, people call us crazy. Blah blah blah. We are crazy."
Yeah, so the movie is basically made up of scenes, just walking around and filming random people, scenes of him going out with his friends, like not even like acting.
Like home
scenes,
movies.
Like home movies. And then there's the werewolf pawing at the air scenes. And then there's him playing different characters in a room, eating and drinking coffee.
Or he was also playing
Rockella. What about
Oh
Rockella?
my god!
Please tell us about Rockella.
That is so horrible. It's not that difficult to buy a bra and stuff it.
But when you put like, I don't know what it was, like probably like,
It's like it had boxes to his chest.
yeah. But they kept like falling down, and it just like one side would be lopsided, the other side.
Yeah.
And then he would fix it. It was just like.
So he in a Bravo performance, Dave the Rock Nelson played a female, we think, character by the name of Rockella, I think.
Rockella.
Everything is rock something.
Of course it is.
One of the cats was named Rock, but we never saw. I don't remember seeing that cat. We saw another cat.
It could have been. I mean, believe me, it took forever to find Hillary Clinton. But we found her.
We found her. We thought it was just going to be a picture of
It
her.
took forever to find Conrad
There were
Brooks.
scenes in it. There were also photographs.
Yeah. There were photographs, like, of people talking.
Photographs.
Right.
Talking and as photographs. So they couldn't even get somebody up there to pretend to be whatever character.
It's because his mom wasn't going to be in it.
Oh, God, his mom and dad were in it, and they did not want to be in that film.
No, they were asleep. And then he woke them up, I think.
And he's like, they're covering their faces.
She's covering her face mainly, and like, I don't want to be in this movie.
So what happened is a photograph of an old lady.
Right. That was the, oh, gosh, I forget the name of the Rambo. Something
Rambo.
Starling
Elsie
Rambo.
Rambo.
Elsie Starling Rambo.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. I want to talk real quick about the zoo.
Oh, yeah, the zoo.
The zoo that they filmed at, and they didn't even get the tiger right.
No.
They said it was a tiger, it was a leopard. Very much a leopard. And I'm like, usually when you go to a zoo, there's like something there showing you what they are. You know, they'll tell you what they are. So either because he was doing voiceover work, he totally just forgot what they were, or whatever. But he was like, this tiger is blah, blah, blah. And we're like, that's not a tiger. It's very much a leopard. It has spots.
What I loved
stripes.
of that scene was, there's this poor wolf there, and he's in the background going, grr, grr, grr. The werewolf is attacking. The werewolf's doing this. The werewolf's doing that.
That was so awful.
And it's just a wolf just sitting there, not doing anything.
Yeah, the wolf's not doing anything. It's like the wolf ran away, and the wolf is like walking toward the camera. It was so ridiculous.
But that wasn't the only animal in this film. There were quite a lot of animals,
Little
real
critters.
or otherwise.
Yeah, there were possum that did not want to be videotaped.
Butch the cat.
My favorite thing is the possum when he I guess
He just found one in his yard.
I know, and he calls the possum, and the possum actually comes and gives him a look. And then he's like, nope. He starts walking away. And I'm like, good job, possum. You were smart.
What about the snake? The very realistic snake and scary snake.
The one on the string?
Yes.
The one on the string that she bites into or whatever?
It goes blah.
And she's like,
And then their bat, she grabs a bat, which is also plastic on a string.
Squeaky toy.
There's a squeaky rat.
Squeaky rat.
Oh, you're killing me.
Oh my God, yeah. It's a rat talk. Oh, and then he flushes a dead spider down the drain.
Oh,
no,
not
down
a drain.
the dirty toilet.
Down the toilet.
Oh my God, that was so disgusting.
I know.
I mean,
It was like he had to drain the toilet anyway.
Please clean your toilet before you put it in your film.
And we're not just dirty, like it was full of toilet paper and probably other stuff.
I didn't want to see beneath
That was
it.
so gross.
Yeah, I think all three of us were like, at that point.
I know. This is worse like Pink Flamingos kind of territory. Jesus.
But
It's probably a home movie. It's probably what his toilet looked
there
like.
was blood and gore, right? There was blood and gore.
What?
Yes.
Did I miss something? Did I
No.
fall asleep?
There was blood
In
and
the beginning, he licks the blood.
Oh, right.
there was blood later too, and then some poor unfortunate guy gets his quote unquote ding dong ripped off.
Oh
And,
my God.
and his bells, quote unquote.
Bells. Even though at one point he said gonads, I mean bells. Like, how do you, what? Like, why did you even leave that in there?
Voiceover, he fixed the voiceover after the fact.
Right. My favorite voiceover bit is the guy that's like obviously a media guy or whatever.
Oh my God, that was so
guy.
funny.
And he's like talking, the guy's talking, and then Rock Nelson would occasionally, put his own words in, or whatever. Like the guy would be like, "The werewolf."
In Chicago.
In Chicago. And then he said something later on this in the Fundsville Center or something, So they're obviously somewhere. This guy, I don't even know who this guy is. This poor guy is being videotaped by someone. I don't even know if it was Rob.
It's probably a local store.
Right.
He stole it and put it in his movie. Which, because, nobody's going to come after him. He's not making enough money, I guarantee you, off these movies to, be a threat to anything, They're probably just like, oh, why did my stuff get put in this? Blur my face, please.
I mean, poor Hillary Rodham Clinton. Didn't she go through enough problems in her life that she has to find herself in a David the Rock Nelson movie?
I feel like this is fair for her, because I really don't like her as a person, but she's now in a David the Rock Nelson movie. So if I ever get to meet her, I'll be like, so how was it working out with David the Rock Nelson? What?
And Conrad Brooks, who was clearly shot in some other film and some other scene somewhere else, got put in there.
Yeah, but I guarantee you, Conrad at least let him do it, probably. He said, hey, I can't be out there, so here's some
you got to pay me, Johnny. Remember?
I don't know. I think he works with The Rock,
Jeez.
Well, he's friends with Carl J. Sukanik as well, so there you go.
So there you go.
Birds of a feather flock and shit together.
Beast versus Miss Werewolf.
There you go.
The
There's
movie.
great mashup.
Don't give him ideas.
I love that, actually, because as long as you keep it... Okay, Rock. We love you.
No.
Me and Paul love you.
Okay.
Me and Paul love you.
Just Jen loves you.
But the only thing we're going to tell you, man, is I know you're listening to this. The only thing we're going to, completely want to tell you is, dude, cut your movie down. If you have this much footage, break it into 2 movies, or something.
Or at least...
And then break it in, and then you can make Miss Werewolf 2, The Return, or something.
At least put it into chapters so that we can go past some of this stuff.
Yeah, the whole middle.
Yeah, because you can't actually skip anything.
No.
You skip to the end, and that's it. Stretch it all the way to the beginning.
I'm surprised. I thought you guys would have tried to abandon this film a long
I think she
time
tried.
ago.
I didn't know it was an option.
Yeah.
Well, this
I
is...
didn't know fast forwarding was an option until you tell me at the end.
It wasn't. This is the first film. This is the first film on any film cafe that we ran up the white flag and said, okay, we're going to fast forward through some of this.
A little bit. It was toward the end.
Yeah.
I will give us credit that we actually watched 2 hours and 15 minutes or 20 minutes of it. And there's 20 minutes of it.
Yeah.
And it had 23 minutes left or something, and we're like, no, we cannot. We got to do this
because you're both there laying barely conscious like clubbed baby seals, and they're just, I could sense the suffering eking off of you guys, and I'm like, we could just fast forward through some of this.
And then I remember Jonathan, you saying, no, we need to watch the end.
No, we haven't watched it. I just we need to fast forward through this to the end. But I wanted to at least see how it ended.
That's right. I believe the thing I said was, Jonathan, you can end our suffering right now. And you're like, nope. Well,
that was a little bit. That was at the end, and that was already they're already at the end.
He had to find out how Miss Werewolf died.
I just
Spoiler.
Didn't know how it ended because
Spoiler.
I just was so frustrated with this movie so much that I was just like, I just gotta see what ends it. What is the thing that ends everybody's suffering? It's fucking Dr. Weirdo of all people.
Your buddy.
The Rock is playing it, or Rock Nelson. He goes by The Rock. He's not The Rock. Not Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Right.
But,
in case people are getting the two confused, there is a difference.
Yeah, if you put them side by side, you might not be able to tell.
It's hard to tell.
But anyway.
Hey, remember Dave the Rock Nelson? He makes it perfectly clear. He was in the Marine Corps. He was a boxer. He's in shape. He does all that powder, stuff.
And then he eats peanut butter and crackers and talks about
good for you. Yeah.
I know.
Fat Tuesday. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, his I don't even know. Like, this is not our normal show. Our normal show, we break into like the story, and then we get into the characters, then we get into that stuff. We can't do that on this one.
It's interesting. Well, like I said, we came so close to having 30s this season, so close, and yet they didn't. Some of them just did not happen. Ones that you and I were sure, absolutely certain.
Should have been a 30.
Should have been a 30. The number of them.
Thank you, Joe Ward. But
so I was like, at the end, I have to make absolutely certain we're getting the 30.
I did the same thing too with Terror Bigfoot Pod. I knew that was going to get a 30.
See?
And so we got our
overkill. We had to do overkill.
We had to. And you picked a movie that there's no way anybody could give us like a 9
and
or
think about it this way, Jen. There's like 5 or 6 other films that are almost as equally bad as this that you didn't see, that should have been 30s that didn't get 30s. So you kind of took one for the team and collateral damage.
I need to be made aware of my sacrifices before.
Told you, didn't I?
See, you did not prepare me for this level of crap.
I told you before
You said I wouldn't like it. Well, that doesn't really narrow it down a whole lot. There's a lot of reasons that I would not like a movie. None of the movies we've watched I've really liked, but this level was just beyond.
I believe at work. I apologized in advance.
I know.
Hey, you liked For Your Height Only, though. That's one of the ones you like.
You kind of like Roller Gator. And Ratfinka Boo Boo, you gave that a really good score.
She's like, I would rather watch those movies on repeat.
And I'm sure you would like Sex Ed. I think you would have fun with that.
That's more fun. But, so real quick though, I do want to ask this because Jen,
yes, this is the worst
you've
movie
been
I've
no,
ever seen.
I know. We've already established that.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. So the first season that you were on, you had no idea what you were getting yourself into.
No
the
shit.
first time you watched, what's it?
Prehistoric Bimbos, wasn't it?
No, it was the first one was the Suburban Sasquatch.
Oh, Suburban Sasquatch with
yeah.
Muffy.
Yeah. So. Yeah, because he did Prehistoric Bimbos later without me. So the first one was Suburban Sasquatch. And you watched that, and you suffered through that, and and everything. And then everything else. Then second season you were in and out or whatever. Third season you did a good amount of ones. But this season you did. You've been in a lot.
Like 6 maybe?
Like 6 episodes.
6 or
so
7.
We're really proud to have you on this season, and boy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry we had to end on this one. Even I am.
Am I getting close to the holiday season?
I love to save the best for last. It's my little Christmas present to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I do
What part of this is the best?
Which part is the present?
I do make up for the fact that I try to give you guys nicer presents. This year it's a little bit nicer. I went a little bit overboard because I knew you guys were going to especially enjoy this particular film.
Yeah. Because this movie was going to be the movie that we were, going to love for forever.
Well,
so horrendous.
What about some of the bits and pieces of this thing called a film? Like acting. Okay, what about the acting?
The what acting?
Bad.
Yeah, I mean, most of the acting is going, no, Miss Werewolf, no.
Oh, those are the victims.
Yeah, the victims. And then Miss Werewolf pawing at the air.
And then the girl who plays Miss Werewolf eating.
Janet Leigh.
Yes,
Janet Leigh
ravenously. I don't know, it looked like she was eating normally to me.
Yeah, well, she's supposed to be a wolf, so maybe that's, maybe that was the character.
Slow motion.
What did you guys think of Janet Leigh?
I thought she was okay. I mean, she obviously was a friend of
Kept
our
looking at the
girlfriend.
camera.
Kept looking at the
She kept
camera.
looking at the camera. She kept smiling and laughing
But then
too much.
Dave Rock himself kept looking at the camera, especially when he was in his little office playing the detective, and he's eating his food. He keeps looking over. And my theory,
Always looking at the camera.
theory is that he's got the thing set up on a tripod, and he can't tell whether it's still going or not, and so he's checking.
Well, because he also has to have his hands in the screen the entire time. Always remind me of Talladega Nights. I don't know what to do with my hands because he always has his hands up there, so it's in the shot.
Now, you may not agree, but I think Dave the Rock Nelson has a horror memorabilia collection. I think.
Maybe a little bit of one.
Just a bit.
Yep. He's got
And
some
then he-
posters on his own posters on the wall.
But then he also talks about all the magazines that he's in, you know.
Several times.
He talks about at length, but he also talks about it because it's his brother. Oh, my brother, the filmmaker.
The filmmaker.
The indie filmmaker is, I've got these, and he's talking to himself about it. And it's just
course he is.
such a strange.
And then he gets the phone call and he tells him on the phone
Bring.
about it.
Yeah.
And then the doctor, when he goes into his office,
Same thing.
Whatever, he
Same
has the
thing.
same magazines.
He talks about the same things. It's
He
just
reads
a
us this bit of the comic strip.
And it's the same stuff that he did in the beginning before the movies even started.
I love that. I love that scene where they open up the comic and he's reading it and he's like saying like, what is it? Bang or whatever.
Oh,
And he's
yeah.
just he's all upset. He's reading it as if we can't read it.
The
ourselves.
Cyclops
How
is-
wonderful the pictures are.
Yeah.
Oh, like,
The Cyclops is killing the snobby receptionist.
And he was, I guess,
Isn't
David
that
Rock
cool?
Nelson was in the movie Brain Robbers from Outer Space. So he has a poster of it, and then he goes through all the poster, talks about every single person on the phone, by the way. He's telling, I guess, the person about it or whatever. The guy's going, cool, okay, great. And he's like,
I know.
I know.
I know.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I know.
You knew
Okay, bye, see ya.
you knew you were in trouble when it took so long to finally get the movie started, and then the credits, the opening credits, where he just mentions every human on the face of the planet,
Some
and a
of it,
few-
I don't think it made any sense.
and a few cats.
Some of it did. Some of it, they were pointing out the people that were in it. But I think some of the people weren't even in the movie.
And-
It's just like, these are the friends.
It looked like David the Rock Nelson did a lot of stuff in this particular film. He acted, directed, produced,
Did the special
wrote,
effects,
special effects,
makeup
provided the Java and pastries,
to himself.
etc.,
To
etc.
himself.
Yeah.
The Javas and pastry for himself, like eating. So if he was catering that, that makes. I mean, that's ridiculous.
But we've seen that before with other filmmakers who will give themselves more credits, I
Right.
guess, to make them seem.
Well, because
I don't know.
Because there are nobody doing anything, so they have themselves doing it. So generally, and even Rock does this, where he'll change the name a little bit, so it won't be David the Rock or David Rock Nelson. It'll be David, whatever his full name is.
D. Nelson.
Yeah. So he changes the names a little bit so that it looks like more people are doing stuff other than just him.
But
It
they're
is just him.
all Nelson. So
Yeah, it's a Nelson affair. And I swear, his brother and his sister-in-law are in that movie, where there's a scene where his brother-in-law been attacked or whatever. And he's like, oh, it wasn't a werewolf or whatever, right? And then he goes to the sister, and the sister's like, oh, yes, it was a werewolf, and blah, blah, blah. It was almost as if he tried to tell his brother what to say, and his brother was like, what are you talking about? And he, walks off. Then the sister-in-law just plays along, and is like, yeah, sure, let's go with
A
that.
lot of people just play along.
I think that's all the actors are. People just going,
Everybody
okay.
in the bar.
oh yeah, she becomes a werewolf in the bar, like right there in front of everybody.
And everybody's all the bartenders are like, ah.
Oh no, it's Miss Werewolf!
Delilah's. We have to go to Delilah's. We have to find this
I
place.
wouldn't mind if it's still around. I wouldn't mind actually walking in sometime if I'm in Chicago. Or
There you go.
Why not? And just you take a picture and send it to Rock. He'd be happy.
Sure.
You
Or
know.
go visit the Psychotronic Film Society, whatever
I
those
don't know.
guys are.
That can't be existing still. I don't know.
It's hard
If
to
it
tell.
is, Rock, let us know if it's still existing. Please let us know.
Yeah, the next time we're in Chicago, we'll stop on by. I don't know how close Des Plaines is to Chicago. It's relatively got to be close to the area anyway.
Yeah, I would imagine that's why they keep talking about Chicago into planes and everything.
Because the werewolf was hiding in the forest, quote unquote, next to the city. There is no forest next to Chicago.
It was in the alleyway.
It was so funny.
Oh, so ridiculous.
So, just Jen, what did you think about the music?
It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible, just like the rest of the movie.
Well,
I
they
mean-
had band, they had music, and you were like, don't steal these songs and put them in
Which
your-
I didn't even hear.
I didn't
those
hear them.
songs.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
there was something, Riot of the
No, Riot of
Valkyries.
the Valkyries was supposed to be in there, and
No.
Hall of the.
All the
um,
yeah,
Yeah.
Mountain King or something. I can't remember
Right.
what it is. Yeah. No.
none of that. None of that.
Nope.
Instead, he got something that sounded vaguely Ed Woodish that was playing all the time.
Mhm.
And then he had some kind of that in the beginning, that beer band, that bar band.
Yeah.
Oh, when we were all like, oh, we need to turn this down.
Yeah, we didn't turn it down. It was too loud.
It was this sort of
loud.
noodling on the guitar, and we're like,
I'm
what
actually
the
glad
hell?
we turned it down because that volume did seem to go up.
Oh, yeah.
more, after that was done, so it
I
was,
think my comment was, if you find a tune, play it.
well, I
Oh
mean,
my God.
and
Yeah.
well, they kept changing the songs. It seemed, or something like they didn't play the same song, but it was like this band. And then I guess the main guy was like supposed to be the Lobo of the '90s or something. He was using this guy,
Right. And there was the
called Lobo.
tour of the 90s.
That's what I'm saying. Tour of the '90s. That's what I meant. So he was, Tor Johnson in the '90s, and he goes and kills him. But he was the lead singer or band member.
Nobody
of
in that
band.
movie looked like Tor Johnson.
Yeah, he was just some dude who was probably tall, and he wasn't even bald. That was weird.
Very,
Like,
very
if
strange.
you're gonna be the Tor Johnson of the '90s, be a big dude with a bald head, then you can play.
Big like rock, big and athletic. You got to see him without a shirt on.
Yeah, I don't think she was excited about that.
I
but-
could have lived without that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of sexiness in this film.
I
There's-
think you could have lived without this movie, period.
There was muffin top werewolf, Miss Werewolf.
Right.
Well, see, now I think you're being unfair to her.
Oh well.
Because it was the style of the jeans. They were high-waisted
That's true. They are
jeans.
high-waisted jeans.
And so, yeah, it wasn't really muffin top, but if your waist is cinched in that tight, then the amount of chubbiness has got to go somewhere.
Well, fortunately, I was distracted by the fact that there were at least 3 completely different werewolf masks. There was the full-on head mask. There was little bits of shit glued onto her face. And then there was one in between that wasn't the full mask. And I guess they were just whatever they happened to have the money for that time, because you could tell towards the end her fingers were coming right out of those mittens, those gloves.
But I think with the mask, the one where she had the least amount and had the Party City, not even Party City, the Dollar Tree vampire teeth in, was when she was supposed to be eating the squeaky toys and whatnot. And that's probably why, because the full mask didn't have an opening for the mouth. Obviously, hopefully a hole for her to breathe in. Breathe through, excuse me. But yeah, so it's probably why, so they could get the eating portion of it.
To make it convincing, because clearly making sure that all these things were convincing was high on his list. Like
Yeah,
Rockella.
Things that should have been higher.
Rockella was completely convincing as a female. Dave the Rock Nelson completely convincing as anything. I mean, anything he played.
You were saying before that you wish he played every part.
That would have been fun.
Oh, God.
That would have been fun.
I mean, it would have.
Voiceover wise, he did.
I mean, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
He even did the voices of everybody that
He-
didn't need voices over.
He came on at one point as a quote-unquote captain. Remember, and he had glasses and a fake nose and a fake mustache.
Oh,
And
I
he-
forgot about that.
Yeah,
guy.
and he was like, "Oh, good job. That's all a good job." And I was like, "What? That's the captain?"
In his mind, yeah.
Fake glasses with the attached nose.
Yes.
I mean, you can see that there's a guy who loves these kind of movies,
Oh yeah.
making these kind of movies.
Oh yeah.
He's trying
He is
Yeah.
trying in his way.
in his own unique Unique.
Yeah, it's like I said. If somebody hadn't given this guy a video camera, he would have been off in the streets preaching or causing havoc or doing something. God knows what. How this man got through 4 years of the Marine Corps is beyond me, because they would not put up with him constantly talking. You know, so he either dials it back when he has to, or they just let him go. I don't know. I have no idea.
I have no idea either, but it's...
I mean, think of all the coffee. Think of all the sugar he put in there. He put in like 4 heaping tablespoons of sugar.
A lot of sugar.
Oh my God.
Like he needed it. You know, that dude was already like revved up, like, you know. I mean, this guy, I feel like literally this is his life.
Yes.
Like everything he does in this, he gets up every day, he watches monster movies in the morning, and then he goes and films like little videos or whatever, you know, of a movie that he's doing next. Then he goes back home and he, you know, gets back inside, watches more monster movies, films himself watching them, and then just
he's an extreme version of you and me. That's exactly what it
I was
is.
saying that earlier, and I don't know if I really want that to be a thing. You know, I mean, I watch movies and I do podcasts or whatever.
Especially with the talking. I mean, come on, you can talk.
I can, but I'm not. I don't know. Like I wouldn't.
You're not on that level. Nobody's on that
No,
level.
No, definitely not.
And he even admits, he's like, you know, he goes to these monster conventions and he gets up there and talks stuff. They have to drag him off there because he won't talk. Oh yeah, he does. And if you go onto YouTube, and I really hope you do, he has a whole bunch of different videos there, and it's the same thing. It's him jabbering, and just going on, and he doesn't know when to stop. I don't think he can stop. I don't think he wants to stop. I think once he gets that microphone in his hand, he's just gonna go with it, and that's just it. And this is his way of doing that, of spreading his love and for these movies and just enjoying it.
So when we first found this movie, or whatever, well, not found this movie, found him. You discovered him this year.
Through you. You can blame Moody.
Not only both of y'all.
Blame both of us. That's fine. But yeah, so you basically discovered David the Rock Nelson and everything. I mean, when I first discovered him was on an Ed Wood DVD.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was I want to say it was Bride and the Beast DVD, and there was an extra on it that had Mummy 80 or whatever.
Oh, Mummy 80, 93.
93, yeah.
He mentions that several times in the film.
Right. So it had like clips from that. I don't think it had the whole movie. But it had clips from that, then it had like interviews with them saying, hi, I'm David Rock Nelson, kind of how he does everything where he just talks to the camera and tells people whatever and stuff. And then, so I was like fascinated. I was like, who is this guy? And then I don't know how I became Facebook friends with him, but fiends. I fiended him on Facebook at some point, and I was like, that's cool. And I never bought one of his movies, and it wasn't because I had no interest or anything. Just never got around to doing it. I would have had to get it through him, and you know, and I think they're like $20 or something.
Yeah, something like that. But I think if you buy 5, you get the 6th one free. But you know. Once you introduced me to him, and once I saw some of the stuff on YouTube, I was hooked. I was like, oh yeah, there's no way I'm going to allow this gentleman's movies to go by unwatched by me.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Well, I mean, you'd love to discover people who you've never heard of, and you know, and then you're able to inflict pain on everybody else. And I mean, this is painful.
I mean,
I'll say that.
Finding Charles Cullen was one thing. Finding Neil Breen was another thing. Finding David the Rock Nelson, just like the mouth of hell gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Charles Cullen at least had a plot in the movie.
That's true.
He had a plot. There was a beginning, a middle, and end.
That's right.
I know.
It wasn't very good, but like it still was a plot.
Conventional.
It was more fun. Entertaining. It was terrible, but it was entertaining. This is sort of like, this is a you described it best as saying if they were going to use this in the military to basically
Torment Al
torture
Qaeda people.
Yeah, Al Qaeda people. They would start talking to them, yeah, just get this off. Like, stop playing this on loop, for us. We're tired of this.
It's
Would
this.
it get to a loop? I think by the end, you wouldn't need to loop it.
You wouldn't even get. They wouldn't even get to the end.
It's like a bizarre stream of consciousness. It's like he's unburdening all of this stuff that's inside of him that he has to get out, and he's getting it out the best way he can. It's like he's possessed by the spirit of monster movies. And
a 9-year-old boy who likes monster movies and himself a lot.
Of course, yeah.
Who was very full of himself, it seems,
You see, and isn't that an interesting common thread when you connect some of these folks, the Neil Breens and
I don't think Charles Cullen is
very,
I think he's
Charles Cullen knows exactly what he's doing, though. He knows he's making silly, ridiculous garbage, and he doesn't care. He's happy doing that.
Yeah, but that's okay, as long as you're not going, hi, I'm Charles Cullen. Watch my movie, and hey, watch this movie too. And you know what? I make all these great movies. I was on Jon Stewart back in,
Yeah.
He does.
Here's my address. You can write to me.
Right.
Right.
But he knows. He calls himself the Ed Wood of the 90s,
I wonder if his parents
and
loved
beyond.
that he gave his actual address out on, because he obviously lives. With
Well,
his
like I
parents.
said, he's 65 years old at this point, so I don't know how many of those folks are still around.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think they were just happy he had friends.
They were probably happy he was
They were happy when he was
doing something
outside
constructive.
doing stuff and leaving
I'm
them
gonna go film
alone.
the yard. Yeah, bye.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, come on. You admit to us. How many times did you try to film your parents for one of your projects and
I've
then
only done it
say
once.
no, put it away?
No, actually, my dad did go in one of my music videos that I did
Okay.
once, and I've never asked my parents because they don't really want to be. They told me this. They don't want to be a part of this stuff. I'm not gonna be that guy. I was never that guy that pushed my camera into my parents' face while my mom's covering her face with a newspaper. I'm not that kind of guy.
Well,
Like,
David the Rock Nelson is.
He is, and that's fine. But I'm just saying, there are certain people that would do that, and everything. And I just
He reminds me a little bit of Ray Dennis Steckler. Ray Dennis Steckler had oodles and oodles and oodles of just stuff that he shot, and he would just put it in his home vault, and every now and again he would take it and utilize it in one of his films. And he just, God knows how much stuff that he had there.
He had probably good stuff.
Well, because he knew what he was doing. He was an
Right.
actual cinematographer. He was a photographer. He did movies for the Army. He knew what he was doing.
I mean, that's very that now that you say that makes sense for Rat Pick a Boo Boo, considering half the movie was one thing and then half the movie was another movie that he just decided, hey, I have this other movie, let me just put this in this movie.
Right. He listened to that little voice that said, "What if we did this?" Instead of most people saying, "Yeah, you probably shouldn't do that."
But with that being said, Rat Pick a Boo Boo is a billion times better than this movie.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And it makes me miss Rat Pick a Boo Boo.
Oh, Rat Pick a Boo Boo is great, and it still ranks as one of the lowest scoring films on our show. So there you go. But in this case, he's just filming whatever, I think, and just utilizing that stuff whenever and wherever. And that's what a lot of these filmmakers do.
Yeah,
they just film stuff and they'll use it somewhere at some point.
Bobby, do you want to be in a movie? Sure. All right. All you gotta say is, "Hey, Werewolf, Miss Werewolf." No. Okay, let's do that. Okay, good. Cut. We'll go to the next person.
And clearly he's unconcerned whether actors are really sort of phoning in their lines or not. He's just one take. Everything is one take. The fact that there were some extra takes at the end, that was the part that I thought was unbelievable. It's like, really? There's stuff that you didn't use? I just assumed you used all of
Oh,
it.
you mean the outtakes?
Yeah.
Alternate takes, probably. We didn't watch those because we were already done.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to fast forward through some of it at the end.
Your
but
pain and suffering was amazing.
I know. We suffered longer than I expected.
Long and hard.
I expected Jen to say, "I just can't take this. I'm done."
I
did
clocked
too.
out several times. I checked Facebook. I was doing some Christmas
You were walking
shopping.
around.
I was expecting a
I
punch in the
was
shoulder
done.
any
You were
second.
Too far away.
Yeah, you were too far away.
My
If you were
knuckles
closer
are
on my
numb.
side, you would have gotten punched.
I'm glad I sat on the other side.
Yeah. She could have punched me and I would have been mad. I was like, thanks.
You
Thanks,
looked like
Paul.
you were in as much pain as I
I
was. so
He was.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For the first 2/3, he wasn't. He was loving every second of it. Then by the last third, he was just like, and I demand you end.
That was,
See?
went on and on and
One movie I hated one of the movies I hated the most out of all the movies that we did was Acting Maximus. And I miss Acting Maximus after that. Because at least that has sort of a plot to it. Like, they know
Vaguely.
that they're trying to make something. You can't understand things, and some of the things are garbled up with whatever.
Some? Most of it.
Most of it's garbled up. And it's crap. But it's more entertaining than this movie.
There were dinosaur pancakes covered in syrup.
Okay.
And that made more sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would make more sense. But anyway.
Ridiculous.
Oh.
All right, kids. Well, this is the period of the show where we're going to actually give our scores. And boy,
Oh wow! All right.
let me put on my
We
thinking
could talk for
cap
like an
here.
hour. Wow.
Is it possible that we might have hit a 30 here? Is it maybe? I don't
I will
know.
give it a 10.
All right, so
Anything
Well,
worse
actually,
than
explain
10?
the Stinkometer.
yeah,
real
I'll
quick.
explain the Stinkometer. So we score our films on a rating of 1 to 10, where the stinkier the score is, the higher the number it gets. So a 10 is going to be the stinkiest pile of crap you're going to get. And then we count up the scores from our 3 reviewers, and then we figure out what's the stinkiest movie of the year. And boy, we had some serious contenders this particular season. The problem is, so many of them just kind of wiggled their way out before they could get a 30. I don't think that's going to happen this time.
Why is that a problem? You've said this a couple times, but I don't see why, not
Well,
being
no.
the worst movie is a problem.
Because
It just throws off everything. If you have a movie that is equally as bad as this, but somebody gives it a lower score, and then you're like, how could this be a lower score?
Right.
You
yeah,
know?
no, I agree because I gave out probably the most 10s this year, and it, and I had a feeling that you were going to go for one that was going to be.
I had to make
a
sure.
30.
I had to make sure.
I know. You had to make sure.
Because there's always somebody who's like, I didn't think this could be the worst, just in case there's something worse out there. I'm like, no.
Well, look at this
Oh, no.
for example. Yeah, like Paige did last year for Curse of Mummy Cat. That if it were just us 3, we would have given it a 30 last year.
Right.
But unfortunately, Paige wasn't sure if there's something worse than Mummy Cat.
Well, after
She
seeing,
hasn't seen this yet.
I was going to say, after seeing this, I get it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I've got worse movies than this.
And yeah, and so even though there's a 10, it doesn't mean like that's like the end all be all like worst movie. You
Right,
know? Like
right.
We've had Twisted Pair. We've had Neil Breen. We've had
Hanneman and the
Charles
Five Riders.
Hanneman and the
Oh,
Five
you got to
Riders
show you
is
that
pretty
someday.
No, that's
no,
okay.
she's no.
I think you would enjoy that. It was Indonesian.
No. But yeah, so we've had some really crappy movies, Zombie Cop, whatever. Then you get you look at this, and at some point or another, maybe during our 24 hours of Stink, we should try to vote up which one was the worst of the lot.
There you go.
Right?
That's
Just pick
probably
the
worth
worst, worst of the worst. Because what is it? Red Letter Media does the best of the worst, which they decide like which is the more fun of the worst movies. Yeah. However, we're gonna do the worst of the worst. Like, which one's the worst movie? This is not gonna be in it. And if
Y'all
it were,
have
it
fun
would
with
have.
that.
You know what's funny? Somebody, I forget who it was saying that he was the king of stink for the
it
movies
was
that he
Lila.
picks. That was Lila. Isn't that cute?
She thinks because Paul's been nice to her
I have.
and showed her Baby Ghost and Octoman, and I've showed her Zombie Cop and Terror, Bigfoot Pond, so she got some terrible movies from me, like 10s. She doesn't get any 10s from him yet, and she doesn't know he's capable of doing it, but he is. You know this.
I've
Yeah.
lived through this.
I know.
I think
If you had to
still
pick between
alive.
if you had to vote between me and him, you'd probably vote your money on Paul, right?
Worst movies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, he can do it.
Well, anyways, let's do our official
He's
score.
blushing. We're complimenting him too much
Yes,
here.
yes. But our official score, it's a 10 for me, without a
10.
doubt.
Can we go higher than a 10?
I wish we could.
This is by far the worst movie. I accidentally, had messed with my phone one time and filmed the inside of my pocket, and that was better than this movie. Oh,
Wow, so this has the Just Jen seal of approval as worst film ever.
ever.
Wow.
Oh God! Does
This
that
is-
mean next year you gotta find one even
No.
worse?
Oh, I already know I've got worse than this. Devilant is worse than this,
Oh,
just
we
because
can't-
it's
we
so
can't do that.
punishing. It just goes on forever.
You said that's like over 3 hours or something.
Yeah, no. We won't show you that.
I won't watch it.
She'll see David the Rock Nelson and go, nope,
Nope.
I'm out.
But, like I said, Conrad Brooks vs. the Werewolf is only one measly tiny little hour. Just one, with no other stuff.
No, I don't think we should do that to her. Do it to somebody else. Give her a break. I want to keep
Hey,
Jen.
I'm giving her a good movie
I
this
want to
December.
keep Jen and not just make her go.
I know. Well, that's where my nicer Christmas gifts are coming in. So we're gonna get to that the moment we wrap up this this podcast, which we should.
We'll do on the recap.
Yeah.
We'll do the Christmas presents. On the
So let's go ahead and then wrap this score up. Everyone's gives a 30. David the Rock Nelson,
recap.
you're a crazy man. Please continue making the movies that you are. We love them. And when we put this up on the website, we'll make sure to put where people can go out and buy copies of this for their very own self.
Sure, you're gonna have to put his address.
I know.
I don't know if he still lives there. Though.
Well, if you guys can fiend him on Facebook, and he will be more than happy, I'm sure, to go ahead and send you every movie he's got for a price. So get out your checkbook, Just Jen.
Nope.
I'm sure you've got all the movies lined up that you want to buy from him.
Nope.
Should I get you a T-shirt for
Nope.
Dave the Rock Nelson?
Nope.
Oh my God!
Nope.
That better not be your Christmas present.
No. Trust me, there is no swag for Dave the Rock Nelson out there. I looked high and I looked low. Just not going to
my
happen.
God. I wish I brought my Neil Breen shirt. I forgot to.
See, you thought Neil Breen was suffering.
She misses the
Neil
Breen.
Breen was like a roller coaster ride compared to this movie.
There you go.
This is more like a bumpy, nasty ride that you just want to get the fuck off.
No, this is more like one of those vibrating football games where they just kind of and they go into the corner and they just sit there
Yeah, you can't move them.
and they can't move
Yeah. That's
for
how it
about
is.
2.5 hours.
Oh, Lord.
Well, with that being said, I guess it's time to wrap up. Thanks, everybody.
So, Jen, real quick, you've got a website, like an Instagram. Jen Cooks that?
I know.
Yeah.
Are you still doing stuff with that?
I am. It's very sporadic. I don't keep up with it as much just because life has been busy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, every now and then.
You said
on
you've been doing
Instagram
some
and-
like baking and stuff lately. So,
Yeah,
is any of that gonna wind up on the?
No, because they're not old recipes.
No.
Oh, okay.
But they're all the stuff that I put on the Instagram account and then the blog is from vintage cookbooks. But I've gotten probably 10 new to me ones and some really cool ones that I'm exploring. I just haven't had time to bake any of the stuff from it yet. And I have had a request. I'll look into it. Trying to manipulate recipes and make them more diabetic friendly.
Oh,
okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Was that a poll request?
No.
No. So,
Feels
actually
like a
from
poll
my
request.
aunt.
Oh.
Aww.
She asked, and I don't manipulate recipes, and I have to look into it because I haven't had. I've looked into making it, gluten-free.
So like applesauce instead of sugar or honey instead of sugar, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I have to do some more research into making, cutting down the sugars and that kind of stuff. So
Nice.
Okay.
Well, very cool.
Well, maybe we can dig up one of those Polish pastry things that Dave the Rock Nelson loves so much. You can bake some of them.
No.
I wouldn't mind, but if you don't want to do it, that's just
It's not a cookie. I usually do cookie.
cookies.
type
Okay.
stuff.
Gotcha.
There you
Yes,
go. Well,
but I do have some little cooking pamphlets or brochures from Illinois and
Okay.
that area.
Oh, so maybe from David the Rock Nelson.
Never know.
And he loves his cookie.
Oh, yeah.
He loves
It
his
says
sugar.
it how many times that none of us can remember what the hell he was eating.
I don't remember it either.
It's all a
He said it
blur.
like 5 times.
It's
Every time he eats it, he has to make sure people
my
know what
mind
he's
has
eating.
been liquefied and
Yeah.
jellified.
That's true. That's true. I think there's a lot that we probably will forget
Wow.
because there's just too much.
Okay, this is officially the worst film we've done on Indie Film Cafe.
There you go.
There you
Season
go.
4 had to top it off. What
So,
will Season 5
what
bring?
will Season 5 bring? You'll just have to pay attention because, like I said, the mouth of hell just gets wider and deeper.
Well, we have already announced it, and starting next season, there will be 3 episodes per month. So instead of 2. So.
I had a Nick Zed movie picked out and waiting for this, and then I put on Dave the Rock Nelson and said, "Oh yeah, I got to go with this instead." So,
because you know what?
and it was a werewolf movie.
Yeah. Oh, is that what you're talking about? The werewolf movie that you thought was worse than this, or just as bad as this? Maybe can't be worse than this.
It's pretty darn close, but it doesn't have Dave the Rock Nelson, so he makes this extra special.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
There you go. And
All
I was
right.
happy we did this, honestly. Just because, I've been wanting to watch his movie, and I don't want to watch it by myself.
Jen's happy that we're doing this too, and been wanting to watch this for a while. And
I've never heard of this guy.
I was perfectly happy to not hearing of this guy.
I
Had a
know.
very nice, happy life going on.
you said that about Ed Cullen,
Yeah.
Charles Cullen. You said that about Neil
I
Breen.
stand by every one of those.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, Lord. No.
Well, thank you all very, very much, and please tune in for our next season, Season 5 of Indie Film Cafe.
Woo!
All right.
Can't wait to see you guys next year.
All righty.
Ooh.
Say goodbye, everybody. Bye.
Bye. How long was that?
A little over an hour.
Good. I
An
wasn't
hour
sure. I
of
wasn't sure. It was not looking
suffering,
at the clock. So.
suffering, pain, and woe.
Detective Rock was about to have the shock of his life.
Oh no.
I know.